To learn the good, the bad, and the reality of the nomadic lifestyle, click the subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Click the bell notification. I've made a lot of videos in the last few weeks describing situations out here that have been very dangerous for people. I've tried to express to you, use caution when you come out here. Don't be naive. People are dangerous. As a matter of fact, one of the big jokes on my channel is the most dangerous animal in the national forest are humans. I've tried very hard to tell you from my own experiences about these dangers, but it didn't really seem to catch on. I've tried to explain to you the statistics, that percentages of crime are higher in the national forest than in big cities like New York City. Still, it doesn't seem to catch on until I started really talking about nomad couples being killed out here. There was one in Canada, one in New Zealand, another couple in California, and then a father tent camping with his daughters. All very tragic. And all of a sudden now people are starting to think, wow, I think I finally have made a strong enough point that I think even other YouTubers are starting to talk about safety. And so I've been doing a lot of research to come up with some safety tips on the nomadic lifestyle. These safety tips may not have helped several of these couples that I've talked about in the previous videos. And I'll get to that in a bit. The first place I went to was the National Forest webpage. And it has some really good safety tips. But again, in my mind, I think it's just lip service. Because there's no solid, okay, what would you do if you're sleeping in your tent and a bad guy comes up and shoots you while you're sleeping with your daughters in the tent? There was no way this fellow could have been prepared for that using these safety tips. I'm going to go through some tips that I've seen on other YouTube channels. So the National Forest says to protect your children. Well, I think most good parents would recognize that. Make sure you always know where they're at. Yep, that's pretty standard stuff. Another one is prevent personal assault. And what it's suggesting there is be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of the people who are around you. Trust your gut. If you're a victim, make sure that you write down the license plate number. Record all the information that you can possibly remember. And then immediately report it to the National Forest Service. Protect your car. Well, the best thing they say there is just put all your valuables in places where the bad guy can't see them. Again, kind of just lip service. Think neighborhood watch is another suggestion. Yeah, if you see something suspicious, record the license plate number, all the standard stuff. Report criminal activity. Well, that's a good point. And let me give you a little story on this one. I had a pop-up camper, somebody burned it down. That was on a Friday. The fire, it was probably, 1:30, 2 o'clock. And so we put out the remnants of the fire and we drove to the National Forest area. And so that got us there right before 4 o'clock, like, 3:55. And we reported the activity to the rangers. And nobody came out to do anything about it until the following Monday. And then when someone actually came out to take our statement, it was not the Ranger Service. The Florida conservation officers are the ones that came out and took our statement. Don't rely on help coming anytime soon. And while I was doing my research, I saw one video where this lady says, one way to make sure that strange people don't come around your camper is put a pair of men's boots outside your camper. And that way people will think there is a man with you. Well, you can tell within the first 20 minutes of seeing somebody that there's no man there. And besides that, when a guy pulls up onto a campground and he's looking at all the campers and he's not looking at the boots. There's a lady that's been camping here longer than I have. As soon as we pulled up, Carolyn says, oh, I bet that's a female traveler. She was outside by herself. And within the first few hours, you begin to recognize she's by herself. See, so all these little tips are just lip service. Well, there was a couple that got killed in Canada by a couple teenagers. These tips might have helped them. Be aware of your surroundings, don't talk to strangers. But then there was a guy in New Zealand who was shot while he was sleeping. Somebody shot through his van and killed him while he was sleeping. There was a couple that was sleeping on a beach in California in sleeping bags. And again, while they were asleep, some guy shot both of them. There was a father that was camping with his daughters. And while they were sleeping in the tent, some guy came up to the tent, shot into the tent, and killed the father. So my best recommendation is set up your campsite, your camper, your campsite, so that if something goes on in the middle of the night, it wakes you up. And I really truly believe this is the best advice. If someone was to come into our camper, they have to get on the tailgate. Well, as soon as you get on the tailgate of the truck, the whole truck starts bouncing around, and I instantly wake up with any kind of movement. Even if Carolyn moves around too much in the bed, I wake up. If somebody were to open my door, now my door is locked, so in order to open my door, you would have to really bust into it. But if they, let's say I forgot to set the lock, I don't know. I've set it my door now where I have a switch, and if the door opens up, the light switch comes on automatically. And so that, the light being in my eyes would wake me up. Because one of the things that you learn in self-defense class is time buys you options. The more time you have to react to a situation, the more options you have available. So if you're dead asleep in a tent with your daughters and some guy walks up onto you, you have no time. It's already over with. But if, you'd had some sort of clever contraption, put a string around your tent and rattle some cans together where it clinks, clink, clinks when the guy trips over it, that might have woke the guy up. It might have got him some options to get away. If he would have been armed, being armed, a lot of people tell me, oh, that's why I carry a firearm. That's fine, as long as you have time to use it. If you're asleep, you don't have time to use it. So you got to get woke up so you have time to use it. Like the guy in New Zealand, he was in a van, somebody shot into his van. If he'd have had something that could have woke him up when the guy got close to his van, maybe he would have had a chance to fight back. But most of the things that I see happening in campgrounds is taken by surprise. Nobody knew they were there. So be aware of your surroundings. As long as you understand what that means, it means making it so you can be aware. Being asleep, you're not aware. Thanks for watching. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.